Hi, I'm Seychelle, a Jamaican international student from Harvard class of 2024. Welcome to Harvard Highlight, where I feature Harvard students, past and present, and their stories, showcase aspects of Harvard life and culture, and highlight interesting opportunities and communities at Harvard. If you're interested in an entertaining, engaging, and educational podcast on all things Harvard, you're at the right place. Coming up on Harvard Highlights. Do you have anything you want to say to maybe someone who's applying, who's probably first generation, never, applied to an institution like this? Do you have any, words of advice about shooting their shot?
Even at Harvard, like for instance, I think one of the cute thing was I went to the mail lady and then she looked at my last name and she was like, "Well, I see, you're Haitian, and then she was be like, "Oh, it's like, oh, you know Mario Andresol, which is my great uncle," and I was like, "Yeah," so like little interactions like that. Caregiving was a great highlight. We had a really good turnout,
Nice.
really good food, and we got a lot of freshmen, which I think is especially important.
So, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harvard Highlight. My name is Seychelle. I'm Harvard class of 2024, and I'm here with a very special guest.
Hey, I'm Jasmine, Harvard class of 2027. I'm concentrating in computer science and neuroscience. Hopefully I'll make it through.
Mm-hmm.
I am from Virginia, Northern Virginia, and currently I live in Lowell House in Harvard. Is there anything else to the intro?
Sounds good to me.
Okay,
All
awesome.
right. So yeah, take me back to a little bit more about you. Like what's Jasmine's
my path, my
backstory?
story.
Yeah.
My path and my story. I guess.
Yeah, you could tell me a little bit about, where did you grow up? A little bit about your family. Do you have siblings?
Yeah, so I'm Haitian. We have a family of 5, so I have 2 older siblings. I'm the youngest. And growing up, I'm first generation American, so I was born here. My parents were born in Haiti. So growing up, I think that really shaped most of my experiences in life, where my parents immigrated maybe right when my brother was born, so all 3 of us were born here. And then they came from Canada, because that's kind of the pipeline when you're from Haiti. Haiti is a French-speaking country. And then Canada, the French province is Quebec, so there's a large pipeline when you're in Haiti. Thinking about 80s immigration, the immigration was a lot either to France or to Canada, especially for educational visas. So both of them, it wasn't them who got the visas, but their mothers had nursing, basically visas to go to college. Both of their mothers gave birth to them around 18, 19. So at that point, they were both raised, both my parents had a lot in common, which is kind of interesting and rare. So I'll just group their experiences together. But both of them had single mothers who were able to go to Canada very young. And then at that time, and then waited maybe 5-10 years to bring them back. So my mom left Haiti when she was 6, and my dad left Haiti when he was 10, along with his sister. So basically, both of them are living, even without knowing each other. First, they grew up very, very close in Haiti. So my mom was from Léogâne. It's like a what's it called, destiny, fate,
Wow.
I guess. So my mom was in Léogâne, Haiti. It's in the southern province. And then my dad grew up in Port-au-Prince, which is about, I would think, maybe a 30-minute drive. So pretty close together. Same province, same culture. Léogâne is the countryside. Port-au-Prince is the city side, but they're very related. A lot of culture comes from those 2 places. For instance, Léogâne, like the music specifically, it's like rah-rah. So it's like think of it as like translatable a little bit to gospel, very soul music, where Port-au-Prince, you got compa, you got like all of these very party music. So like even little things like that.
More secular.
like you can tell the regions by the music, the celebrations, the dances. Like Port-au-Prince is more lively, where Leogane is more laid back. You know, there's more greenery in Leogane countryside, and Port-au-Prince is, you know, more bustling. If you ever like search up a picture of Haiti, you'll see like the houses stacked on top of each other. That's Port-au-Prince, where it's just all like one big mountain, and then just a bunch of everything is close together. So that being said, so growing up in a Haitian household in the United States, I basically grew up in the suburbs most of my life. So from Florida, some random suburb of Palm Beach, Melbourne, Florida, and then also in Virginia, a suburb of DC, McLean. So growing up, I've always been in suburban areas, and I've always been, first, the most differentiating factor is the fact all the places I've been in have been 2% black, 3% black, so very, very predominantly white or predominantly other groups of people. But I've always felt a lack of community and belonging, especially ethnically, obviously, racially. So, for instance, I was basically the only Haitian in every place that I grew up in. And growing up, even though I say we've moved about maybe 3-4 times, like between Florida and Virginia. But yeah, every place, probably the only Haitian. Where I did kind of find community, especially in Virginia, so DMV area has a lot of Africans, Ethiopians, some Nigerians. So there, you know, I grew up a lot with a sense of solidarity, that from a little bit of Pan-Africanism where, you know, I can feel a large sense of solidarity with Caribbean brothers and sisters as well as African and African-American. So I never really had a sense of feeling different from people within, like, my own race or even beyond, even also other immigrants, like Asian immigrants. I always felt a sense of solidarity. Or, you know, white people, some white people in general, if they have certain experiences, especially the immigrant experience. So I felt very connected to, especially in Virginia, where a lot of the people there are also, while it might not be diverse racially, is very diverse in the fact that a lot of these kids are also first-generation immigrants. So it's a very, like the DMV area, it's a very large population growth, so a lot of people are coming in from different countries. So, you know, I think I was able, being in a sense isolated, gave me the gift of finding solidarity within different crowds and communities, and, you know, being able to blend in and merge, and while also not necessarily losing myself. But, you know, I'm very grateful to be here at Harvard, because one of the draws was really living in the Boston area, you know, being able to go to Dorchester, get my hair done by a Haitian braider, hear Haitian Creole. It's kind of like, you know, these are the small things, but I think, like, college is a time where you really want to delve back into not necessarily your roots, but also your community, because, you know, once you're past that, really, if I live my entire life from birth to now not really immersing myself in my own community, I would have felt a little bit lost. So I definitely think it's very important for me to intentionally dive back into my roots. And I'm also grateful to have parents who not only go back to Haiti, but I went to Haiti 2-3 times, especially before the country closed down. In about 2021, post the murder of the president. So, but before then, like, I was able to go to Haiti 2 times when I was a kid. So really see my home country the way it is and be able to connect back. So I think it's interesting as a first generation American, because a lot of the time, especially when it comes to Haitians of my parents' generations, there's a sense of disdain or disgust, like, I'm not going back, like, I'm done. So obviously these kids grow up just completely alienated from their own culture. So because it's a culture, especially, I guess, because of the amount of poverty, it's once you leave, you don't want to look back. You can think of it the same way in a lot of, like, American cities, like, the goal is just to get out. Especially when you see parallels, like, there's gang violence at the current moment. You know, there's a lot of poverty, so those things where it's like you want to get out, but the fact of going back is, I would say, 10 times harder. And same for anybody else leaving, escaping impoverished conditions, like going back and being able to face the trauma that you felt is a really powerful thing. So, you know, as somebody who didn't feel the trauma firsthand, you know, I really do look at my parents and I applaud them for being able to face those fears that I know are very, very prevalent in our community. And to be fair, like, if the Haitian community was described, not necessarily in one word, but as a collective, it would be a lot of shared collective trauma, especially as the generations increase. So, you know, those types of things where the ability to give back and, you know, as diaspora, which I would be called, which are just people who left, like there's certain conflict between those in Haiti and the diaspora. It seems like the diaspora is categorized as selfish and self-serving, and, you know, it's, and another thing too is, like, for instance, money sent back home is a common thing. There's a lot of Western Union and Cash App and all that. So it's like there's a certain sense of power structure and being able to deconstruct that. Like me living here and somebody, and let's say a relative of mine living in Haiti, it should be one and the same, and I should be able to give back to them and help them and et cetera, rather thinking that I'm above all of that. Yeah. So I think it's an interesting thing.
Yeah, interesting dynamic, and lots going on there in terms of, you know, you're talking about. I wanted to ask a little bit more. You said that, you know, growing up you're able to have that level of compassion for people who might not have shared your a similar cultural experience, but a similar kind of you know, first generation experience. But I was also curious to know, you know, being in those communities where I feel like when I talk to a lot of Caribbean Americans, they kind of have the opposite experience where they had the opportunity to be surrounded by their culture. So how did that influence, like, the passing down of tradition? Did you think that it brought on a bigger sense of, like, you know, what was your parents' take on it? Like, they had a more responsibility in, like, making sure that, you know, you were being, you know, exposed to different, you know, parts of the culture. What was that for you? Or if you have any fond memories you would like to share.
Yeah, I think that's why I think it's important that it comes down really to the parents who immigrate in the country and their choice. Because I do see in a lot of my relatives where they choose, instead of, especially those living in Canada, they choose to ignore Haitian side over French traditions or Quebec traditions. And so it really comes down, like, to the individual. So in my case, I do feel like I was immersed in Haitian culture to the best ability, where it was, like, only us. And thankfully, like, we were able to find, like, friends in Maryland. Like, I have maybe 2-3 family friends in another state that we would go to parties and, you know, we experience a certain level of immersion. But I do feel like there are some things that I missed out on, maybe in a community sense, but I do feel like, I think the biggest discrepancy would probably be the language, Haitian Creole. Like, okay. I understand it, but I can't speak it because I never had the opportunity to, like, and I'm not trying to excuse myself, but it's just something that I never had to speak, so I never learned how to speak with it, but, you know, I can understand.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
Read. But, yeah, so, other than that, like, the food traditions, I think they were successfully passed down, like, family gatherings, you know, the recipes. I need to get a little bit more into it, but, you know, I need to figure out how to make soup jumu well. But
you know how it should taste.
I know how exactly. It's about, like, how it should taste.
You know.
You know, really integrating Haitian food. We have Sunday dinners, so I would say maybe at least once a month, it's Haitian only food. So I do think that I did not miss out on a lot compared to other Haitian Americans, despite the fact where, you know, one can look at it and be like, you're by yourself in this, you know, you don't have a community. So I do really think, and also going back to Haiti also helped a little bit with reconnecting back and actually, you know, tasting real Haitian food from Haiti and not just my mom's cooking. So
yeah, nice. It sounds like there's been a mix, whether that's the food, the music, and I don't know about dance or stuff. I have a friend here, Michelle, who had done some work in coordinating a compa night, and that was very fun. And so you talked a little bit about, you know, coming to college and really embracing the opportunity to reconnect with your roots and that sort of thing. So, what has that been like for you? And like, are there any specific moments where that you reflected on that you felt particularly that was a particularly special moment for you, and perhaps that also goes into your commitment and involvement in HCC.
I think one of the most important things is really just visibility, especially when it comes to any other identity. You can think of anything, like the visibility, the ability to see yourself in other people and other communities. And I think that first thing, knowing that and seeing that there's a lot of first Haitians in Boston, like that's something that I've only seen, like I'd say New York is in Miami, or you know, these are only two, but so Boston was like probably I think the third most Haitians in the community. So like, you know, everyday interactions, especially even at Harvard, like for instance, I think one of the cute thing was I went to the mail lady and then she looked at my last name and she was like, well, I see, I'm like, oh, you're Haitian, like, and then she was be like, oh, because my uncle is like some political figure. My great uncle is some political figure in Haiti. It's like, oh, you know Mario Andresol, which is my great uncle, and I was like, yeah, like so. So like little interactions like that, where it's like a sense of I see you, you see me, type of thing. Like I said, like being able to basically go to certain Haitian businesses, get Haitian food, you know, hair braiders, etc. So Haitian church, being able to have the option to seek out my own people, and it feels like a sense of refuge and something that, you know, I didn't have the privilege of before, and again was a not just Haitians in general, but the driving factor of coming here was just to see more of my own people, whether Black or just different types of people. I think for sure, different backgrounds. But that being said, I think it's a double-edged sword because unfortunately, especially around this school, the relationship between Harvard and Haitians is not necessarily great. Where, I mean, I think I remarked on like who works in the dining hall, who works in the custodial services. 9 times out of 10, they're either, you know, they're either like Haitian or Hispanic or, you know, so some lower income group where it's like, I feel like there's a certain sense of class dynamics where most of the Haitians I see here in the city are of lower income, lower class. So, which is informed by immigration and background, but it's also sad knowing that Boston, specifically here, had a rich history. I think my mom said that, like, Cambridge used to be predominantly Haitian, a while ago. So, especially those who have lived here for a very long time, it's kind of sad to see the class dynamics where it's like, we're always below the power structures that be and don't have that much of a say, instead of, and that's the Claudine Gay was like very significant because it was a symbol of ending those class structures where we're always below, and at the bottom we're always the working class. However, as we know, it didn't work out. So I think understanding those types of things and coming to reconciliation, especially on the political sphere, where it's like we have basically our president of the United States for the second term going on and saying that we're dog eaters, which is very strange. And
in Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
And I also understand it's not just us, it's also like people are racist against, say those same words to Asian folks. So it's like, it's same things over and over and over again, which you see in the same rhetoric, and it's always picking on the person below. At this point, in this current point in time, because of the mix of immigration, racism, all that, we happen to be the lowest of the low in this country. And not necessarily speaking on a personal level, but on a political level, on the sense of political power, because most of us here are on a green card or on a visa, especially with Biden administration. They call it T-Biden, like a lot of new immigration within the last few years. So it's a very, very vulnerable position of a community, especially when, let's say, the entire Boston Haitian community is, in a lower power structure. So it's like, what can you do to elevate, and what can you do to ensure that we're not in a vulnerable position and we're not the first one? Because it should not be the case where we're the first ones being attacked when it comes to immigration. And it's very catchy, it's very easy, because if you get people who don't like immigrants and you don't get people who don't like blacks, like, you can just mix that together, and what do you get? Boom, a Haitian. So I think it's very sick. But it's also the reality, the situation, and understanding the context of the country right now, in both the United States and Haiti, and also external factors like France and Canada and Kenya at this point, who all perpetuate similar power structures where it's at the bottom. So I think, all that being said...
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, because even when I talk to... other Hispanic students at Harvard, they do recognize that that there is this this class structure that's present, like who gets to be the professors and faculty versus who gets to, and you're right. It's something that we should definitely highlight as as that being a part of the Harvard experience as an immigrant. So I appreciate you bringing that up in the conversation. But so it's good to have kind of that nuanced discussion that, yes, this is definitely a space where you can, to use your words, like, get in touch with their roots and have that access to community and that sort of thing. But there is some nuance and some political undertone to that as well.
For sure. Yeah.
I'm curious to know, like, what your experience has been like within the Harvard Caribbean Club, because I know that it's like predominantly Jamaicans are in the club, but actually, I remember when I was a sophomore coming up, it was pretty evenly split between the Jamaicans and the Haitians were the two main groups. I don't know if you've gone to experience that, and I always wondered, if how we're doing as a club in terms of having more representation and making sure that, because the Caribbean is so diverse and it's different cultures, different languages, different, very similar history, but different histories and experiences. So, yeah, what has it been like for you, being Haitian and being a part of the Caribbean Club?
I definitely think, I think there probably is less Haitians now than probably when you were a sophomore, but I don't think that necessarily as like a negative side, because I do think that making sure that there's not really, that everybody is included within the Caribbean Club, is not predominantly Jamaican or Haitian, I think is important. I think that's what we try to do with our events, making sure that we represent every type of food, every type of way, centering different music. And I think that our goals as a club is not really to focus on each individual ethnicity, like this is for Jamaicans, this is for Haitians, this is for everybody else.
Because it's hard to cater to everyone.
I think like trying to integrate everybody as just Caribbean, like period, that's it. I think especially this year we've collaborated a lot with the Dominican Student Association, the Cuban Association, like different, trying to reach out especially to the Latin portions of the Caribbean. I think we're really helpful in sending the message where it's not a Jamaican only space or a Jamaican plus Haitian space. Like we're really trying to integrate every single person who might consider themselves Caribbean at a certain point in time, like ever, or even like, and then also like branching out with African student orgs and non-Caribbean Latin orgs, I think are important. So I think on the discussion of the numbers, I think it's definitely lower. That being said though, I think the participation in the Caribbean Club versus like any Haitians outside, I think it's pretty, I think we're at a pretty good level where most Haitians are involved in the Caribbean Club and go to the events. It's just the fact of the matter is admission numbers right now are just pretty low, but I think it's a pretty good place. But yeah, it's just really the admission, and then maybe I think we probably got impacted by affirmative action a bit. So
yeah, and on that note, I would encourage, everyone out there who identifies as being Caribbean, Jamaican, Haitian, USVI, it's also, we also need you to kind of, we don't get a list to say, okay, these are the people from the islands, like, so we don't know, I'm saying we like I'm on board.
No,
the Caribbean Club doesn't know, so really, feel free to like, show up and embrace the club and embrace your culture and bring that to the table. I'm sure they're always taking suggestions and that sort of thing, and I would love to see more representation in the club. I know I was thinking of the previous boards that Michelle and Christina are doing their thing to represent the Haitians on board, and so we also want to continue to encourage that, and of course Jasmine is here doing her thing as well. So yeah, that's very exciting. Do you have any highlights of being on HCC board or your time as being like a member in the club?
I think definitely the highlights are I think honestly the smaller events, like the study breaks, Care of Giving was a great highlight. We had a really good turnout, really good food, and we got a lot of freshmen, which I think is especially important. Like, and then it was a type of event where, because I don't think there was a lot of events happening. It was a week before Thanksgiving. People were hungry. People were tired, and they were like rushing, and then people were like, oh, because we were asking around, and then people were like, yeah, everybody's talking about this because we want the food. Like, but it was basically spreading around a lot. So, we had a pretty decent involvement and turn up compared to some of our other events. But definitely, like, the smaller events, the monthly study breaks set a really good precedent for, allowing people to show up whenever they want, whether it's November or October. Like, oh, okay, I showed up for one Domino's night. Really, really giving themselves the opportunity because, with our bigger parties, it's free for all. Like especially a Caribbean student might not be able to get that ticket, or you know it might not be a predominantly Caribbean space, or you know we might not be able to play all the Caribbean music we want because of the DJ, for instance. So our parties are not necessarily evoking a certain community aspect compared to our smaller events, as well as I really did especially like our collaborations with some of the organizations. Our most recent one was with Natives of Harvard and the Dominican Student Association, where we were having like a Taino workshop. So you know, these types of informational things, so basically in essence smaller events plus collaborations within a relevant orgs, not necessarily like a BSA collaboration or a BMF collaboration, like really intentionally seeking out people. And also our field day was very cute, like, you know, so those smaller events I think are really, really worthwhile.
Nice. Come to think of it, I don't think I've played a game of dominoes with you yet.
Yeah, dude,
Are you just matching, or do you have any like strategy going in?
With dominoes?
Yeah. Because sometimes I just match, to be honest.
No, I don't. I'm not good at dominoes, I fear.
That's fair. Sometimes the dominoes you're there for is the pizza, to be very honest.
That's really what it is.
But no, I'm still recovering from a domino match at the kickback, but that's for another time. You know yourself who was, you know, giving tough talk at the domino table, but I digress. But yeah, so I want to kind of dive into a little bit more about your Harvard experience and what it was that like. You're studying this. Is that something that you came in, you know, wanting to study, and kind of what so far has been like a maybe like a fond memory and like the biggest lesson you've learned?
I think coming into Harvard, no, this is a hard one because like I'm still like uncertain. This is year 2. Like I'm still trying to navigate things and trying to figure things out. Like currently, I'm trying to hit that joint. I'm trying to do 2 things, neuroscience and computer science. I kind of think of it as neuroscience is really what I came in. I applied neuroscience. I, was thinking, I might do pre-med, like, but really it was just like, I want to learn more about the brain because I like biology, chemistry, psychology, like, I like everything surrounding neuroscience and I like the field itself. Then computer science kind of just came as the thing that you should be doing, honestly, which not when I put it that way, like it sounds horrible, but I really do like the CS classes, especially like the introduction. I really like CS 50.
That's a hot take right there.
No, I mean, because I really like the project and being able to collaborate. I was in a lot of CS clubs, especially freshman year. I was in Tech for Social Good. I was in the Open Data project.
Oh, nice.
So like I really, even though I'm shading it like, but I really did enjoy my introduction into it, and also the fact that I could have started in a blank slate, because I started CS in college. I never took like coursework in high school. So I really like the fact that I could just start at a blank slate and learn as I went, and just learn as I especially with the clubs, the atmosphere of having boot camps. I definitely, in terms of like learning how to code, I definitely think the clubs here are way more conducive to that than the coursework, for sure. But yeah, so I find myself in kind of a limbo because I have some good experiences with CS. Like for instance, CS 61. I really liked the professor, like I really liked the lectures. Sorry, this is an introduction to operating systems. This is a requirement, but it's a really hard class. Like it's the hardest class I've taken, but at the same time it's really rewarding. And so I think for me, I've always liked classes where it was hard, but I was able to take away a lot from it. I was able to learn from it, rather than another class I'll juxtapose it with, which is Introduction to Algorithms. where the lecture is not really there, like it's not really focused. We might not finish the lecture notes in time, like it's a little bit wishy-washy, chalkboard, like basically it's not really helpful compared to like the lecture notes or the homeworks. So, you know, the thing about computer science, I found it very rewarding, but it's very challenging. The thing about neuroscience, I find it more rewarding, and it's slightly less challenging. So I think I'm just going to continue exploring, like, I'm especially going to explore more down this neuroscience route, because I have a little bit of leeway, this is going to be only, like, I'm only on semester 3, so I'm going to continue to
you definitely
do a little
time.
bit of exploring. But I definitely think that my perception of academics and classes have definitely shifted a lot from high school to college, where it's like, in high school, I was like, yes, like, I'm here to learn, like, I'm here to, you know, learn so much things, like, and I can't believe, like, we were taking 7-8 classes at once. Like, I don't even know how that happened.
Thinking about high school, me,
like,
and all the things I was doing, like, it was intense. But
I mean, what's the main lesson you learned in this treacherous journey that you had?
Main lesson I have learned. I think, like, the pieces can wait. Probably. I just found so much time after time, I just got so caught up in, like, these deadlines and, like, thinking that, you know, my Harvard experience revolves around these pieces, and I'm just like, no. At one point I was just like, no, like, this is not how I want to shape my experience. In fact, like, you know, if it's a case where I'm gonna have to use those extensions to, like, make sure that, you know, I can prioritize certain, you know, showing up for my friend at certain events, or just, like, taking time for myself. It took me a long time to, you know, to really shift my mindset towards that, and I think that has been a major takeaway. Because, it's very easy to get caught up, and, like, you're the type of person who's saying no to everything, and, like, you're only in the library and in your room, and that's it. But
it's not worth it.
Yeah, it doesn't really give you the depth of a Harvard experience that you could have if you're just solely focused on
one thing and not seeing anything else. What was your hardest semester?
My hardest semester, I have 2 of them. Hard, like, in terms of, like, personally, and also, like, hard academically. I'd say my hardest semester, like, personally, was definitely my sophomore fall. I was going through it. It was rough. And it was also a little bit because my freshman year was online. I had, like, a little bit of that freshman year experience going into it.
So your sophomore year was 2021? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so, because now I'm a super senior.
Yeah.
And so I also had to deal with a lot just emotionally, and so it was hard to keep up. I was taking Math 21A, this a lot of, like, writing heavy classes, and I just felt like it was just everything all at once. So that
it was just a big jump.
Yeah, not the best moment, but I think it set the extreme. I was just like, alright, this is the worst that it can be. It can only get better from here. In terms of the academic experience, my hardest semester would probably be freshman fall. Because I just did not pick my classes right. I don't know why I did that to Seychelles, who was fresh out of high school, but it was not good. I was taking 3 PSEC classes my freshman fall.
Oh my god. They literally kept saying over and over again, do not do that, do not. What did you take?
I took intro level bioengineering class. I took
53?
Yeah, my freshman fall.
They literally said sophomore.
Would not recommend. I took Math 1A, which is like
The
3
calculus?
pieces a week.
Oh, yeah.
And I took LS1A. And you know LS1A has like the pies and the mini exam. They grade the reading assignments.
No,
it was
too
awful.
Much. It's
like,
too much. I'm taking it now, and I'm like, I can't. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much.
That was, and then I was in expos. It was just
instead of taking a seminar, because a lot of them are like, take a seminar so you can have a free class. But expos is hard too, because I know a lot of it's really based on the professor. Because I know a lot of people, they're like, I hid my class because I didn't really have a good professor. He was harsh grader, and then your introduction to writing. And in my case, in high school, I only know how to write like 3 body paragraphs and 2 3-page papers max to like, we had to write 10,
No,
12
I was
pages.
so proud of that 10-page paper. I was just like, I just wrote out 10
Exactly.
And like now, you know, when you move beyond freshman year, kind of it's like, oh yeah, it's a small 10-page paper.
Small? What class? No, I'm struggling with this 10-pager right now. I can't.
I feel like in STEM, like 10 pages feels like a lot, but a lot of like, I imagine someone in humanities, there's like
exactly.
That's like a 1 paragraph at this point.
It's all relative. It's all interesting. I think also, this transition is rough because you're saying that 2021 transition was in college. That 2021 transition for me was in high school. So I felt like it was a lot more forgiving because I guess. Yeah, I was in, I think, junior year in high school, so I feel like a baby right now. Like, imagine, like, speaking to a junior in high school right now. It's just, like, you're so young. But, yeah, same thing. Junior year, hardest high school year, and then jumping from 0 to 100, taking too much, doing too much. So I also burnt out, but luckily it was high school where it was a lot more forgiving. You didn't have 1 semester, 2 semester. It was like the entire year. So if you messed up the first semester, then you can pick it back up later. So I don't know. I understand where you're coming from, where it's like it feels so hard, insurmountable, especially when it's Harvard rather than some random high school, where it's like there's so much pressure that you have to succeed, and it's just you're trying to be like, why am I not living up to the expectation I set for myself? So yeah, I can definitely understand.
Yeah. So it seems like, you know, you're still on the path of exploration, which is completely fine. And, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, whether that's through specific classes or research or internship opportunities, you'll get some more clarity there.
Yeah,
nice.
for sure.
Do you think, reflecting on freshman year, what would you say is the biggest shift now that you're a sophomore?
Freshman year. Entering freshman year, I kind of did a little bit opposite of you. I took classes that were a little bit less challenging, so I had an impression like, oh my god, like, and I was so eager, like, I wish I had my freshman mindset like now, where I'm like, oh my god, I'm so eager to do a bunch of work, and I'm so motivated. So I think freshman year I found myself like a little bored, like not necessarily challenged as I thought I would be. So I was like, oh my god, like I got this. I feel like my biggest wake-up call was actually freshman spring.
Okay.
Where like it hit the fan, where I was like, I'm tired of this. Like I got my like, you know, like my first F or whatever. Like, you know, so that was a wake-up call moment. So then entering the next year, I feel like my sophomore fall has been more forgiving.
Okay.
It's way harder than the other two, but more forgiving than like I anticipated. The fact of the matter is though, like I told myself after my freshman spring experience that I'm gonna cut. Like I completely dropped a lot of my not dropped, but like really cut down all my obligations to the bare minimum. So I took a step back. I prioritized. In this case, it's just a priority of classes. And, and I also with the expectation, like, it's not my high school mindset where it's like, I'm going to get all A's and I'm going to ace everything. I'm here, I'm going to do the best I can with what I'm given. And also remembering the fact that, one, I'm at Harvard, it's only been a 3-month semester, and I was supposed to learn a lot from 4 different classes in a short amount of time. And just really giving myself the grace to, like, whatever happens, whatever the result is whatever. And, I tried the best I could. And, next semester I'm going to learn from this and maybe not challenge myself this much. And what you were doing before is focus less on the P-sets and maybe, ease up my schedule so I can have more time to do things outside of Harvard, of school. For sure.
I will say as a caveat to that though that there are different ways to go about it, and I think also it's also a very individual decisions. You can make it you can make smaller decisions as is like week by week, dedicating time that you're, whether it's cutoff points or figuring out how much hours you're gonna spend on something, and how you're gonna prioritize things. And you can kind of also do it on the grand scheme of things in terms of like the classes, if you have that flexibility, like how are you gonna do. But I added the caveat because I also do really see many approaches to it, and I see the front loaders who are just like, I'm gonna do everything right now, and like, I'll be cruising, senior year, and I feel like you just kind of have to figure out like what are you really able to take on, because each approach has its pros and cons. But for me, it definitely made more sense for me to like have a more even spread, and then within that, really focus on how I was gonna, make those individual choices to not get so consumed by just the academics, but have a more, fruitful and like just more like flexible experience.
For sure. No, yeah, definitely heavy on the even.
No,
because if I do my OG plan, my original plan would be the front loading, would be like, let me just take the hardest classes now. And I'm like, no. Let me, because I think I calculated the workload, it'd be like 40 hours of homework a week.
That's just not sustainable.
No, I think I'm at like 35 or 30 something right now, so I'm like, I'm not adding 5-10 more hours. So
that's fair. You have to figure it out, and it's a lot of trial and error, but you have time, and I'm sure I don't know if one of the things that I was gonna invite you to do is kind of like I don't know if you have a message to your future self, or kind of like something you'd want to look back at this episode to kind of be like, here's some advice from present Jasmine to future Jasmine.
Present advice from current Jasmine to future Jasmine. I think take it easy. I am a number one overanalyzer, number one like if I don't do this, then I'm not gonna do this and this and that. And prioritization, what is the most important thing to you at the current moment? What is the second most important thing? Like maybe keep it up to 3 priorities and make sure that you know, you maintain them. And the number 1 priority should never, in this case, let's say it's academics, it should never completely overwrite everything else. But yeah, because life is short as hell. And people are, you know, transient, and, you know, they take advantage of the relationships that you have now. So yeah.
Alright. So, future Jasmine, we'll check back in a few years and look at the tapes.
I think so.
Jasmine, you have kind of like such an easygoing kind of style to you.
Really?
But at the same time, I also see you on that iPad grinding.
I was
always doing some work. Where
Yeah.
does that like personality come from, do you feel?
I don't know. Like, I don't know. You know the type A, type B people? Like, I don't know which one I am. I think I'm a type B, but I'm really a type A. And I don't know. In some respect, I just think it's like checks and balances, where I'm like, I recognize that I'm doing something, and I'm like, let me even it out. Let me not do so much of that.
That's important. I'm also a self-regulator. I'm constantly, I'm an overthinker. For sure.
And that's the thing, where it's like, okay, you're so like self-regulated and self-aware and self-this, but it's like your mind is
get
like,
out of my head.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's cool. I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to share or like mention about the Harvard experience thus far? And I don't know, do you have anything you want to say to maybe someone who's applying, who's probably first generation, never, you know, applied to an institution like this? Do you have any, you know, words of advice about shooting their shot?
I think on the note of underestimation, where it's like, don't ever underestimate yourself. The only reason why I applied to Harvard was because my math teacher was like, I sent her my college list and she laughed at me. She was like, why is, like, because I only applied to like nearby schools and schools with high acceptance rates, and she was like, you can definitely do better. So that was a little like, what's it called? That was a little bit of a humorous response, but I think telling yourself that you're very capable of whatever you set out to do. So whether you have a certain dream or goal or achievement, like something simple like, I want to start a business, you can do it. Like, you can get there. Like, everybody that has achieved something has taken risks to get there. And I think setting out on your goals and being true to yourself and recognizing, is an academic institution gonna help me fulfill those goals, especially when it comes to first generation stuff? Honestly, the case is yes, because of academic mobility and, you know, financial mobility and all that mobility. Sometimes it's not though. Sometimes it's not the path to take. Sometimes there are bigger, better things out there for somebody. But I think really staying true to yourself, knowing who you are, not succumbing to imposter syndrome or realizing that there are other people better than you, because the fact is we're all made up of the same parts. Like, it's so basic, so generic. But I mean, it's true. Like, if we sum up, I believe if you sum up all the talents of a person, everybody's sum is gonna be equal. Like, you know, Simone Biles is the best gymnast, but, you know, whatever strengths she has is going to equal the total strengths you have. So really just understand your strengths and tapping into them, rather than just looking at your can'ts and won'ts and weaknesses and all that.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. So thank you so much, Jasmine,
Thank you for
being on the show. This was fun, and I love sitting down and talking with you. We should definitely try to grab a meal
before you leave.
They kicked me out. No, because why were they sending me a message by vacate here? I was just like,
the word vacate.
Yeah.
Like, leave by the 21st. And then the winter housing debacle.
Yeah, so.
Doing too much. I feel like I talk too much. I feel like I talk too much.
No worries. I feel like I can also, but I honestly just enjoyed like hearing what you had to say. So I wanted to give you the space to do that too.
I appreciate it.
So that is a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below, and remember to like, subscribe. All right, we're out.
Thanks for watching Harvard Highlight. Subscribe for more content. Check the links in the description for more information from this episode. Feel free to ask questions and leave a comment. And before you go, like this video.